Hey guys, Bic Mitchum here, coming at you again with another podcast. This time we've got Battlefront Updates in the house. Battlefront Updates, how's it going?
Pretty good, thanks.
Thanks for joining us here. We're going to get right into things. And the first thing I kind of wanted to ask you about was a little bit about the patch that came out today. What's the biggest thing on this patch that you think is going to be helpful?
Probably. It's hard to say. I've heard that there's been fixes to the rubber banding, although it's not in the patch notes, and then some major just some balancing for not getting too much points with the LAAT, some spawn things. I don't think the patch is too big, if I'm gonna be honest. There's nothing about the credit gain, nothing about the progression, and those kind of important topics that people are waiting for. So it was a little bit of an underwhelming patch, in my opinion.
Alright, so with Battlefront 2 having so much hype leading up to its release, what kind of emotions have you felt since it has been released?
Obviously, on the game itself, I would say I've had a lot of fun with it, and during my streams, there's so much excitement and so on. But just in general, seeing the community's reaction or the gaming community as a whole has been kind of underwhelming and disappointing, because I've never seen a game get this much hate at a launch. So no matter if I think it's fun and if most of my viewers think it's fun, the larger part of the community might not. And that obviously affects me as well, seeing just hate basically everywhere you go if it's not a dedicated Battlefront or Star Wars channel. So yeah, there's mixed emotions.
Right. Would you say fear would be one of those emotions?
Fear? Not really. I mean, maybe fear that the game will fail hard that way, but not fear in another way I can think of.
Okay. No, that's kind of what I was thinking. So a common opinion amongst the players is that there's an abundance of reused material, and mainly heroes, hero choices. Do you think that, do you share the same opinion, or are you satisfied with the hero selection?
I'm pretty satisfied. I would say it's too low on prequel heroes. I won't deny that. But on the other hand, the resources it takes to make those heroes, we might have had, I don't know, 10 or 8 heroes if they made all new from scratch. So I think it's good that they reused them, but still made them feel completely new. So although it's the same character, visually they play completely differently, which I think is good. So when they kind of announced at the same time that it's free DLC, I was like, okay, I'm pretty satisfied, because that means they can add Anakin and Obi-Wan and whatever post-launch, and we won't have to feel like it's locked behind a paywall.
Seems like a lot of people complained a lot about the pay-to-win, but those people that were really happy to hear that it was free DLC, I haven't heard a lot from them lately, which is kind
usually, the people who are content with the stuff are usually the ones who are quiet, unfortunately.
So there was a lot of talk during development of Battlefront 2 about cross-era hero battles. A lot of people were a little iffy as to how it was going to play out, whether it was going to make sense. Do you think that, are you satisfied with that aspect of the game?
Yeah, I am. Like I've said it since I saw it the first time, that this is just my personal opinion. I have not a single time ever been saw something in the game that I felt was weird. I don't know. I just don't. Some people have that opinion, which is fine, but I just don't. I really don't care. I think they made it good. I would even be fine if they had the same cost for battle points no matter the era. I like the solution they have where it's cheaper with era friendly, because it's kind of a middle ground for people who don't like cross era. But I'm not bothered at all.
Do you think the complaint about Boba killing his brothers is being a little picky?
That particular one, yeah, I would probably say that's too picky. But the cross-era one in general, I don't think it's too picky. I completely understand that people feel that way. It's just different opinion, basically.
We touched earlier on Battlefront 2 garnering some negative responses from gamers and critics. Do you think DICE and EA have the resources to make this right? And
yeah, they definitely have the resources to make this right. I'm not sure, because I think they have a larger post-launch team this time, and it's hard for us to know at the moment, because they're communicating so poorly with us, so it's really hard to know what status the game is in, and we have to rely on data mining and leaks to actually find out what's going on with the game.
Do you think eliminating microtransactions is the solution to this problem?
Temporarily, yes. In overall, no, because that means they can't fund the post-launch content. People just say, "Oh, it's a $60 game. Why don't we get all the stuff for free?" Well, usually you have the development cost for the base games separately from the post-launch, so they need something to get money. They need something to get money for the post-launch. So I mean, they can't reintroduce a season pass. That would just kill the community altogether. So
right, because they already announced that they're not going to have paid DLC. So with no revenue sources moving forward, it kind of it's a bad formula to make money in business if you have no more revenue.
Exactly.
Without completely overhauling the progressive system, though, do you think there's a big change that we're going to see that's going to satisfy players?
I mean, first step is obviously fixing the credit gain to based on performance. I don't know. That was the thing I was really hoping to see today. I don't know why it's taking them so long to actually fix that, because because it's a little bit slow. It's a little bit slow at the moment, and there's no satisfaction in winning a game or playing well. So if they fix that, I think it's gonna definitely make people more excited to play the game. But other than that, I don't know what small stuff they can do without overhauling the progression system, because that's probably going to take a few months for them to do. I mean, cosmetic system, it seems like it's already there. People have seen it in the leak and the data mining. So if they add that on top of better credit gain, I think that's enough to satisfy the community until the progression system is remade.
Did the campaign meet your expectations?
Not really, I would say. I thought it was... I don't know. We can talk spoilers here, right?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they marketed it so heavily as a Imperial campaign, but then it was more like standard Star Wars movie Rebel campaign with all the heroes. So it wasn't a bad campaign per se, but it was not what I had hoped and expected, unfortunately.
Did you think Iden Verso was the right character to play the lead role?
I mean, she was a good lead character, but now afterwards I kind of wish we would have gotten a couple of missions with Hask instead, because he had the story that we wanted to see. Imagine if that would have been the case, where we got to half the Infernus God defects, but we get to be on the part that doesn't defect. I think that would have made people more interested in the campaign.
Yeah, because after Battlefront 1, that was probably the biggest excitement point, was that we're going to add a campaign, and I've heard nothing but disappointment. And which is quite unfortunate. So that leads up to the next question, which is mixed with arcade mode. Would you say that people that don't have online access, there's enough content to consider purchasing the game?
For $60, I would honestly say no. It's like 4 or 5 hours for the campaign, and then the arcades are very limited. So maybe if it's half off or something like that, but full price, I would not recommend getting the game if you're only gonna play offline.
All right, so moving on here. So a general consensus among the vocal members of the community is that the game at launch is incomplete. Would you consider the game to be complete?
In terms of, because I feel like complete to me speaks more about the content, and that way I kind of do feel like it's complete, because it has so much more content than the last game in terms of, if you're talking just unlocks, game modes, maps, campaign, obviously Starfighter Assault. I think it's complete that way, but it's incomplete in terms of polish, the progression system being really bad, obviously unbalanced microtransactions. So that isn't really in terms of there's too little content, but it's the content that we get is not very well developed, if that makes sense. So I don't think there hasn't been a lot of complaints about the amount of content. It's just the way it is, basically.
Well, we can't even check to see our statistics, which is
that's true. That's missing. You're right about that.
Which I was shocked that there's no way to benchmark yourself against other players, which was one of the great things about the previous game that let people keep playing, was you could grow your KD and compare it with each other. In this game, it's just, you have no idea. There's no drive to continue. There's no KD to push up.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I think in terms of incomplete, I can add a few things that I do agree on. Like, there's that the cosmetic system seems to kind of be in the works, but is not there for launch, and that the stats page is not there for launch. Private match is not there for launch. Those things should have been at launch. So I agree that it's incomplete in terms of those kind of features.
As a game changer, like how much How much say would you have towards the development of the game?
I can't say that we really have had too much of a say for maybe major stuff. I mean, that's corporate stuff. Like for people, when some game changers got crap for the microtransaction and the hero locks, that was stuff we had literally zero involvement with. It's more about, I think, maybe like we get to see a game mode early and see what we think about that, and then everyone says, no, that doesn't look very good. Okay, let's do something different there. And I mean, at the moment, I don't think I have maybe much more of a say than anyone else, but it's more that I can reach them easier. A lot of them follow me. Now that I did my video a few days ago with like everything I want changed, there was multiple developers who like responded saying thank you for the video. A lot of us watch it, we appreciate it. So I guess in that way I do have more of a say than maybe the average player, but since I can reach them a lot easier. But I don't have a say like, hey, you guys should do this. Okay, let's do it. I don't have a say like that. Like some people think game changers do.
Well, the common opinion amongst, because I talk to a lot of the small YouTubers, is that the game changers don't speak out as much as they should. And you were actually commemorated recently by Frankie Doodle, if you can believe it. He spoke out in his stream probably about 3 days ago, and he said that Elliot is the only one that's not. I'm not going to put it the same way he did, but basically sucking up to EA, so to speak. So it's kind of a lot of people think that game changers, maybe they just don't understand the role. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I think the thing is like I mean, obviously there's no denying that I'm pretty sure, at least I try to be very neutral and be kind of in between, but I mean, if you get invited to a bunch of events across the world, you're gonna maybe see them in a more positive light. There's no way denying that, but I think at least I know some people might be that way. I've seen people who weren't game changers then became game changers, and like the way they talk publicly. But I try to be very open what I think on Twitter and on especially my streams on Twitter. And I mean, sometimes I've heard developers say, "Oh shit, I saw your tweet about that and I felt kind of bad." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just saying what I think basically." And I try to. And I mean, it's the benefit for everyone if the game is better. If I see something bad, I'm not gonna be quiet about it. There's no point in being that. Like right now, I was complaining on Twitter about the patch, and my video isn't super positive either. So like I want the game to be as good as it can be, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I just don't jump onto the hate train for views like a lot of people did around the launch.
Some members of the Battlefront, for example, like the Stew Dogs and the Frankie Doodle, sometimes can oppose your views in a way that might not exactly be ideal. Does this behavior bother you, and how do you kind of go about dealing with that?
Not really. It's usually pretty obvious if someone just wants to pick a fight for drama and attention. I mean, I think I remember the first time when Frankie Doodle came onto my stream, he started joking about school shootings and how he was going to shoot up a school, and my mods obviously banned him right away, but it wasn't until afterwards I found out that was apparently another YouTuber, because I didn't know about him back then. So that was a kind of weird way to introduce yourself, I guess, and I never really felt like, oh, this is a guy I really want to interact with after seeing that kind of stuff in the chat. And I think they like tried to call me out on Twitter a few times or something. But on the other hand, at least I know Stew Dog makes quite a lot of fun stuff. I saw his video with both with Dennis in the Matrix, and then the one he did for like the Avengers trailer with a bunch of Star Wars YouTubers in it. And I have to say that those videos really gave me a genuine laugh. So he did a good job on those. And to be honest, I haven't seen much lately where they try to like pick a fight or whatever, so I don't really care, to be honest. But when someone in the community like very obviously tries to just be edgy or start a fight, I've learned to just ignore it at this point, because it's pretty easy to see when someone tries to pick a fight, or if they actually try to give you genuine criticism, if that makes sense.
Would you say that you were first enticed to play Battlefront as a Star Wars fan, or is it more you heard it was a good shooter game?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, I played the first Battlefront, 2005 was the second one. So yeah, it's 2004 I think I played the first time, and I was like 10 by then. So I wasn't as huge of a Star Wars fan as I am now. So I'd say it was probably a little bit of both. I think I played it at my cousin's house first, and then I enjoyed it a lot, so I bought it myself. So I'd say it's pretty equal between both being Star Wars and a shooter.
What are you most excited about for The Last Jedi, and do you have any bold predictions?
Probably just seeing. I want to know more about the history behind Snoke and like the dark side and Kylo Ren and what the hell happened those 30 years. Because I hated that they left so much blank, and so I'm hoping we get more backstory about the New Republic, Snoke, and everything that has to do with the Force, basically. Any predictions? Can't say I have any that bold predictions. That last trailer was so well made that it kind of made you. It could go any way, basically. But I'm thinking, although I know people don't want it to copy the previous movies, and I fully agree. I hated that The Force Awakens was too similar to A New Hope, but I think there's going to be some big twist at the end of the movie. That's my. I don't know what, but like kind of like Luke, I'm your father kind of thing.
but not, because we already know that.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. I think there's gonna be.
Do you have any idea who you think Rey's parents would be?
Oh, I keep thinking so much about that. I feel like if it's Luke, why wouldn't we know it already? But is it? No, I honestly don't know. I can't give you a good answer for that. I've tried. I've thought so much about it, but they've really hidden it well. Unless it is Luke. At that point, everyone's just gonna feel stupid. But yeah, I don't know.
I actually did a podcast. It's not out yet, but I recorded with Star Wars Legacy. I don't know if you've heard of Star Wars Legacy before, but he predicts that Disney's going to take a turn, that Rey's parentage is going to be something we've never heard of before, for Disney to send the message that you don't have to be the blood of a hero or of a great one to do something great. So that's kind of his interesting prediction, which I think is one I've never heard of before. Everyone's kind of back and forth between Kenobi, Skywalker, but I thought that was kind of an interesting take, that if there's going to be a twist, that would be. It might be a letdown, though, honestly. Yeah,
I mean, it could be, considering. I mean, obviously, if you have Force-sensitive parents, that helps. But look at all the Jedi in the prequels. I'm pretty sure all of them didn't have Force-sensitive parents. So, like you said, you don't need to be the child of a Jedi or Sith to have Force powers.